Hi everyone, my name is Charlie and today I have the Alphabet Soup book tag. N is for Novella. I was tagged by Charlie of Charlie Brook and this tag was created by Sean the Book Maniac. N is for Novella, the last good one you read. Not reading a lot of novellas, I had to go with the first book I read this year, which was If Cats Disappeared from the World by Genki Kawamura. And yeah, this is about a man who finds out he has a terminal illness and he will get a day extra on this planet should he remove something from the world. I thought it was a great look at just what we'd give up. It was poignant, it was philosophical, it was brilliant, and I highly recommend it. N is for Neighbour, a work of fiction focused, or at least largely concerned, with neighbours. And for this book, I went with Death in Sunset Grove by Mina Lundgren. I don't own these books. I borrowed the first two books in this series from the library, and they deal with sinister goings-on in a retirement complex in Finland. N is for Name. Name a writer you'd recommend whose first or last name begins with the letter N. For this, I'm going with Patrick Ness. Or Neil Gaiman. Just thought of that now. Recommend them both, or Garth Nix, recommend him as well. You know, if they've got an N in the title, they're probably doing something okay for this video, so read your N's. N is for Nuptials, a work of fiction that didn't suck about a wedding. And I've gone with A Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin. Anyone who's read this or knows of this book knows exactly what I'm talking about. And for me, that's the best sort of wedding. N is for Not Aging Well, a book you like less than when you read it. I tried rereading The Tiger's Wife by Taya Obrecht last year, having previously read it in 2012. This time I really couldn't get on with it. I found it overwritten, a tad pretentious, and that it fell into all of the traps that creative writing students usually fall into, and it did not do it for me this time. N is for N, a book with lots of N's in the title, and when Charlie mentioned this in her N is for Novella video, I immediately thought that this was the title for this portion. So that is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. N is for Not Sure, a book you keep changing your mind about whether you want to read, and that is We Cast a Shadow by Maurice Carlos Ruffin. N is for Nitpick, a small literary writing or book-related thing that drives you around the bend, and I really struggle with this one. At first I thought that I'd go with what everyone would say, and that's about writers about releasing breaths characters didn't know they were holding, because as I say, as an asthmatic, I can't imagine people not knowing they were holding their breath. Then there was the thing about how characters mention that they're in novels. I hated that about Ann Beattie's A Wonderful Stroke of Luck so much that I gave that book away. I thought about deckled edges and how I don't like those. And I thought about how I like books to have a uniform size, and yeah, there was so many. I thought about bad book covers, trashy book covers, flowers on book covers, books that might look beautiful but the actual cover has no relation to the story that's going on inside. I thought about characters having dialogue that doesn't suit them, or dialogue being written poorly and not sounding human. I thought about showing over telling and how I really dislike telling, but I also believe that telling has some place in literature. I thought about people who've clearly stuck to the rules but not realised that you can break them yet. I've thought about books that are too well edited that they've lost a story, whilst others are poorly edited and they could really do with another round of edits. There were a lot of things. N is Next to Nothing, a book you read as an adult you can barely remember a blessed thing about, and this is Emerald City and Other Stories by Jennifer Egan. I unhauled this book a few years ago because I had it on my shelves, I included it as a book I hadn't read, and then I went back through where I write all my books and it was there saying I'd read it on a certain date, and then I went on Goodreads and I'd reviewed it on Goodreads, but I have no memory of this book. I had no recollection of it, And I think the first story in there was called Why China, and the only reason I remember that is because I kept opening that book and reading it, as in reading that first page and then getting no further. So apparently I did read it at some point, but no memory of reading it. And yeah. N is for New Zealand. A book or writer you'd like to read from there. And so I was going to say Eleanor Catton, but then I realised that it wasn't one that you'd already read. So I went with Catherine Mansfield because I googled it and I found out that Catherine Mansfield is from New Zealand, and I didn't know that. And she's a writer I've been meaning to read since university. N is for Nodding Off. A mind-numbingly boring book. Seraphina by Rachel Hartman. Nope. Boring as heck. So boring that it gave me my physics headaches that I hadn't experienced since being at high school. Boring as heck. N is for next, the next book you're going to read. And I'm hoping that this will be The Shining by Stephen King, because I'm trying to read some more Stephen King. I've got that book out from the library, and currently the ones on my shelves are just frustrating me. The N is for Now It's Your Turn. So I'm supposed to tag some people. So we're tagging Dane of Dane Reads, Tia and All the Books, Ellen of Ellen Morton, Maria of MH Books, and Rachel of Rachel's Reading Corner, because you've spoken to me recently and that's to your detriment. You shouldn't have done it, because if you hadn't spoken to me, you won't be getting tagged. If you've read any of these books and would like to discuss them or completely disagree with me, then do let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, that is all. Lord, I must apologise for all of the breathing in this video. I noticed it myself as I was going along and finally understood what people mean by releasing a breath they didn't know they were holding. Either that, or it's just because I didn't take my inhaler yet today. Choices.